Recent reports have come out giving us a better idea of who the Raptors are eyeing for the head coaching vacancy now that Nick Nurse is gone, and yeah, there's some cool names on there, and that's what we're going to talk about today. What's up, everybody? It's JJ Buckets. I've pretty much given you the idea of what today's video is going to be, so before we hop into it, just make sure you are leaving a like. Helps the algorithm out a lot, and I do truly appreciate it, believe me, you. Besides for that, folks, if you're new here, subscribe to the channel as well. Plus, if you plan on doing a responsible sports betting in the near future, just make sure to check out the sponsor of today's video in the description below. So, gonna get the elephant in the room out of the way. I do genuinely think the Raptors did want to pursue Ime Udoka, and now that he's off the table and with the Rockets, and you know, that moved pretty quickly, the Raptors are opening up to a longer list. And from Woj, we have an indicator of where they're looking. Bear with me here because the post tweet is fairly long, but I'll give you the rundown here. So they've secured permission to interview several top assistant coaches to open up the process, including Golden State's Kenny Atkinson, Milwaukee's Charles Lee, Phoenix's Kevin Young, San Antonio's Mitch Johnson, Sacramento's Jordi Fernandez, Memphis's Darko Rajakovic, and Miami's Chris Quinn. The Raptors are also requesting permission to talk to other assistant coaches too, according to sources and according to Woj. And the Raptors have also secured permission to speak to Las Vegas Aces coach, Becky Hammon. So I think that's a really interesting preliminary list. I think there's two things that stand out to me there more than, the rest. The first one being, Kenny Atkinson is on the list, which is, a guy that I talked about in the previous video, talking about the head coaching candidates for the Raptors. Again, I think Kenny Atkinson is a good coach for younger teams, which the Raptors are fairly a younger team. Again, obviously you have parts of the core like Siakam, Van Vliet, Chris Boucher, etc. that aren't maybe necessarily as young, but as far as the Scotty Barnes timeline, Gary Trent, OG Anunoby, etc. Obviously there's big questions still about who's going to be on the team next year, but as far as the young guys go, there's a fair bit of young guys here, and obviously Nick Nurse was not the guy to maximize those young guys. I think I saw a really good tweet the other day where on Raptors Twitter, it was, regarding the Bucks and regarding the fact that obviously they got eliminated, and it was talking about Coach Bud and the idea of having Nick Nurse replace Coach Bud, where the person that said it, I can't remember her name, so I apologize, but the person who said it described Nick Nurse as a ceiling raiser, which I think that was a really good way of putting it. And obviously Nick Nurse as a ceiling raiser is not who you need on the Raptors right now. You need somebody more so that's gonna raise up the floor of young guys, and I think Kenny Atkinson's somebody that can fulfill that role pretty well. Again, I'd still think of just the good job that he did on that Brooklyn Nets team that overachieved. Now I know overall maybe his record isn't as impressive as you may think, it's a sub 500 coaching record if I'm not mistaken, but I do think there is some interesting potential there for what he can do for a young team with a head coach. Now, is he going to be the coach that puts you over for a championship? Debatably, I would say probably not, but he is a coach that can definitely get your young guys in a position to succeed, and that's what excites me about Kenny Atkinson personally. And the other one I think is obviously very interesting because it was the title, the top, the photo for the post, and kind of the most interesting name, I guess, amongst the candidates is Becky Hammon. So obviously Becky Hammon from the Popovich coaching tree, which I think is already, a plus off the bat. Pop is probably one of the greatest coaches, probably the greatest coach in basketball history. Again, up for debate a little bit, but yeah, for my money's worth, probably the best coach in NBA history. So coming from that Popovich tree is, speaks for itself. Then obviously the work that she has done with the Las Vegas Aces and how successful they have been in Becky's time there. I think there is an interesting possibility here as well, right? And she's not necessarily somebody I would have immediately had in mind when I thought about the Raptors head coaching vacancy. And largely I think because in my head I'm like, she's not leaving the Aces. She's got a good thing going there. But if that's on the table, that is a very good possibility as well. I think, having Ime out of the equation and looking at some of the other candidates here, I think Becky pretty much jumps pretty close to the top of the list, if not at the top of the list of desirable candidates. So it'll be interesting to see if the Raptors decide to take that route with it. I mean, I look at some of these other names too. Like, there are some very good quality names there in terms of assistants and guys that I think deserve a shot at being a head coach. So I think the Raptors have more possibilities here than maybe initially kind of imagined in terms of who they can go to fill that head coaching job. And it'll be interesting to see the route that Masai and company take. Yeah, that's pretty much been it. I mean, today largely I would say it was more of a news update and a quick hitter in terms of my thoughts than, you know, an actual in-depth dive. So hopefully it's been more than enough for you in that case. But yeah, like, that's pretty much been me with the video today. So other than that, folks, just again, comment below I'd say the continuing thought and the continuing thing that I'm going to ask for as this head coaching search goes along is how your opinions evolve and who you would like to see as the Raptors head coach. So drop that all in the comment section. Let me know. Besides for that, folks, yeah, just the usual drill. Again, if you're still here, like the video, helps me out a lot, truly does. Subscribe to the channel if you're new here. And other than that, folks, it's been JJ Buckets. It has been real, and I will see everybody next time.